We have one. All right. All right, we are going to call tonight's special city council meeting into order. It is 6 p.m. on today's Tuesday, June 23rd. We are here at the Huntsville Town Hall Council Chambers as our anchor location. We are also available for participation online via Zoom. As a roll call, here presently, we have council members Booth, Shaw, and Julie Baker in the room present. We have council member Hickman online. And I do believe council member Hoagland is en route, but we will announce her entry when she comes. Let's go ahead and stand for the pledge of allegiance. I have allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We follow that with another sign. Thank you. All right, we start every meeting that we have with public comment. So we allow anyone who wishes to come forward and address all of city council and have their comments listened to and responded or worked on. We ask that everybody that wants to speak keep the topics germane to the business of the city. State your name, your address, and try to limit the length of your comments so that we can get into the meat of the agenda and do the business of the city efficiently. We don't have very many people in the room tonight. I will say, anyone who is in the room, if you wish to speak, you're welcome to go first, and then we open it up to people online. Anybody online?
Not at this time yet.
All right. We're going to give this another 30 or 40 seconds in case anybody jumps on. See what they'd like to speak about. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make the announcement that we have in the room today Deputy Fire Marshal Golden Barrett, and he is here with regard, well, he's here to participate within the city business. We do have the citywide firework ban on tonight's agenda, but due to some emergency work that he's going to need to do, we're going to go ahead and move his introduction up front, and then we will get back into the ordinance that are downstream on the agenda. So we want to make sure that he's able to dash off when it's needed to, but we want to make sure we introduce him and speak with him. Anybody online?
No, ma'am.
Back to the room. Anybody in the room? All right. So with that, I'm going to pause the agenda before we go into the consent agenda and go straight into introducing Deputy Fire Marshal Golden. If you'll come forward, the owl will pick you up. You just stay in line with the front row of chairs. If you want to introduce yourself, then.
Well, my name is Golden Barrett. So I've been a fire marshal for about 8 years and now I've been in the fire service for 30. So I'm your fire marshal. And I'm happy to be here in the Upper Valley and represent all the citizens and especially you guys and help you guys, especially a new city and what you guys need. So I'll use me as a reference, usually as the information I'm able to give you guys, but I'm here specifically to help you guys a little bit out with some of the fire concerns that you guys have here in the Valley.
Perfect. So as you all know, I'm on board for Weaver Fire District, and I'm in direct communication often with the chiefs and everybody over there, and I work directly with Golden for everything from our WUI map to everything else. And he worked directly with us in crafting the fireworks ban that we will be discussing later. Since we have you, would you want to give a summary of, just the update of this weekend's fire, or?
So yeah, the Middle Fork fire is still technically under investigation. So cause and origin won't be coming out quite yet. We still got to button a few things up on it, but firefighters worked amazingly to get that fire out. It was, as you guys can tell, very quick burning fire. The winds were definitely not in our favor. You guys have some interesting winds in this valley. So, and the fuel moistures are right for fire, quick fire. We're running about a month ahead of schedule, if not just a little bit more on some of our fuel moistures. So we just haven't seen the water. So if you guys are inclined to do such, please pray for water. We could definitely use it, but we're looking to try to put a fireworks ban to stem any of the issues that might result as that fireworks season comes around. And in Utah, second driest state in the union, that's almost a month long, it seems. So, but that's what we're here for. But the fire is 100% contained right now. They think they have a few crews just monitoring things up there right now as the winds coming up, and but that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Not in regards to that, thank you for the work there. It's incredible how quickly it seemed to get out. I'm sure it probably didn't seem that quick for the people fighting it, but on and I know we're going to be discussing that, but on the fireworks ban, you said we're trying to put one into effect. Is that what you said, or
I think that's what
okay?
He's not counting chickens before they.
Okay, gotcha. That's what you guys have in front of you.
As well, they're like, so can we say you're doing it? Not until they vote on it.
Because I mean, not coincidentally, but it's the hot topic. I've had, 3 or 4 people just in the last, since Sunday asking me about it, and I said, well, we hope that we have that in place soon.
Well, the great thing about it is before this was an incorporated city, we had this in effect. This area is very much in the wildland urban interface. We have a lot of tall grasses out here, and so historically speaking, there's always been one in place when up in here when the situation arose. So, and that's something that they had with the county.
Yeah.
Is the Firewatch app one of the better ways to be aware of the fires, or do you have resources?
Firewatch app, those are all good apps to go after. But then it really comes down to, keeping up to breast on what's going on with the fire district. As we get fires in, we'll generally notify people, and of course the mayors and the public officials in those cities where those fires are happening are also notified as well. So yeah.
I will say, being that I was in constant communication, the time between when the fire district puts out a public statement and the time that Watch Duty puts out their updates, seconds. So whoever's running Watch Duty is paying direct attention to what the fire district is putting out, and the minute it becomes public information, we'll push it out to everybody that's at the app.
Oh, excellent. And so you publicize it on social media?
Social media, yeah, that's
Okay.
what.
Is there a site that you use? Do you have a?
It's Weber Fire.
Weber Fire.
And then if it's on, social media on our website.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm pushing that in.
But so for anyone who doesn't want to have to constantly refresh and look, if you're on one of those apps, it was incredible because I'm on the app and I was in direct communication and I follow their, so I'd be told we're about to post, I look at them, they post, Watch Duty, pushes it
Came
out.
right out. Great.
So you can have it brought to you.
Yeah, I do like it.
Yes. Thank you very much, Holden.
Yes, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you guys.
All right, we closed the public comment and I want to make sure Golden got introduced and anybody could ask questions directly of him in case he has to dash out, but we can get right back into our agenda. And the first thing up is our consent agenda. I do place a comment with council and see if there's anything on the consent agenda you would like to pull out for separate discussion. If anybody has anything they wish to pull out from consent. Procurement procedure. All right, well, then I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Dylan Baker and a second from Councilmember Shaw, all in favor.
Aye.
Don's on.
Aye.
Oh, that is a unanimous vote 5-0 to approve the consent agenda. All right, next up, we have a legal update on our agenda. We did get news, so those of you that are paying attention and listening to every day that we come out and tell you the updates, and the last few days we haven't had any change of update, today's your day. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Hogan.
Okay, today we got notice that the court, Judge Catherine Conklin, who is the presiding judge over our petition for emergency relief, she ruled and granted us a temporary restraining order, which requires the state to allow us to participate in truth in taxation for the time her temporary restraining order is in effect. So good on us, and thank you to Corbin for doing such excellent legal work in this. I sent this order around, and basically she signed without editing the draft order that the city had submitted, granting us our TRO. The next step will actually be a hearing on a preliminary injunction or preliminary injunction rather. Probably preliminary injunction on July 2nd that will change the temporary order into a permanent one. And that will be argued on July 2nd at 11 a.m. We will all be able to dial into that. And then if we prevail there, we should be continuing to proceed through truth in taxation, and very likely will resolve it either with discussions with the state or final briefing on the merits. So this is a very good omen. It says she refused to defer it to a tax judge, which is favorable to us, that she still will rule on this case. And to grant this order means she has to find that we have a reasonable likelihood of success on the merits and that we are really suffering harm that would be irreparable. So so far it's going in the way of the city, and we use in that direction.
Any questions? Fantastic. Nice work. That's good news. All right, and just in time for us to be able to push it into the paper. So that we can get the information. So the timing is great. All right, so that was our legal update. Okay, separate line item, proposed property tax impact schedule. So as everybody knows, we've been following our meetings. This is something we've talked about at every single public meeting since we started in budget season months ago. We have always had printouts of the tax impact schedule at the front desk for people to pick up. They're also available in the office for people to pick up. They're also available online for people to either look at or download from the comfort of their own home. So this is a document that is a requirement from the state when you're going through truth in taxation. To simplify for people what it does, it's a new addition they put in this legislative session, and it basically breaks out the tax increase that's proposed every which way you can think about it. And I think of it having a young child about new math, how it's not just here's the one way to do it, here's how you do it with bubbles, and here's how you do it with graphs, and here's how you do it with this. It explains the tax increase that's proposed in a variety of ways, so that everybody can know and understand it. So that is, as I said, always available in our public meetings at the office. It's available 24/7 online. And we are continuing the truth in taxation with some added vigor, some wind to be heard.
Yes.
Our wings here. So that was just for discussion, no action to be taken there. The first actionable, well, I guess we have the consent agenda, but other than that, moving on to agenda item 6. This is resolution 2026-33. This is for the fiscal year 2027 budget. This is the alternate budget. This is if we are not able to complete truth in taxation. This is that we referred to it many times as column G, the bare bones, not bare bones. This is the skeleton version. let me see if I can, so Sherry has texted me that she is fully incapacitated. And so I told her that we've got her and I will do my best to explain. Let me get here we go. I'm gonna share this with you, Kathy, and see if you mind putting it up. Yes, no, I was hoping that she'd be here, but fully understandable. Okay, so what Kathy's gonna put up, what everyone's gonna see, the budgets are very much, are very similar to what we've all been talking about. What she did was she merged the two before we had two separate budgets that said almost the same thing. Because the truth and taxation budget is required by law to also have a column of what happens if you are not allowed to complete the process. So it essentially had the skeletal budget in it. And it somewhat confused people. People ask questions about it, so she put them all in one. So this that Kathy's gonna put up is lovingly called the merged budget. It's both budgets in one. There is a slight change that was done to the truth and taxation budget, but it just brings it in line with the skeletal budget and the new information that we had that we changed it in the skeletal budget recently. So where we had new numbers for the sheriff, we had adjusted that in the skeleton, but we hadn't adjusted it in the truth and taxation budget, dropping it at $100,000. So she has put those more accurate numbers into the truth and taxation budget. She also adjusted our TAN note due to more accurate information coming from our cash flow analysis. We are reflecting now where previously in the truth and taxation budget, it was 1.1 million. We are now reflecting the accurate number of 875, I believe it is. So all of that brings it down. It's going to actually adjust the amount we need to increase taxes down a little bit. So up on the screen is this merged budget. It has both budgets on one form, but right now, for the purposes of Resolution 2026-33, this would be to discuss and then possibly either adopt, deny, or continue the skeletal budget, the alternate budget, if we are not raising taxes. So those numbers are all the same that you've seen every time. Any questions regarding that column, that budget?
I just have one. Is it updated on the website? Am I looking at the same one?
No, this is a new one.
No, it's just,
Will we replace it?
we would, yes. We would, and we will, provided it gets adopted. So this is just putting that full budget into one column. Is there anything anybody wants to fully discuss, or I can take a motion on that? This is something state required that we adopt before the end of June.
Questions on the motion?
Perfect.
Okay, I move to adopt resolution 2026-33 fiscal year 2027 budget, also known as the alternate budget.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion to adopt from Councilmember Hoagland and a second from Councilmember Hickman. This is for resolution 2026-33. This is the fiscal year 2027 budget, known as the alternate budget, where we don't increase property taxes. This is an ordinance. This is a resolution, but it does affect money. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a roll call just for giggles here. So I'll start with motion maker, Councilmember Hoagland.
Aye.
Councilmember Julie Baker.
Aye.
Councilmember Booth.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Hickman.
Aye.
All right, that is a 5-0 vote to adopt the fiscal 27 alternate budget. Moving into resolution 2026-32. This is the truth and taxation interim budget for fiscal year 27. So again, this has been referred to as columns F, column E and F, the truth and taxation budget, all of the above names. This is the one where we look to increase the property taxes, the mill rate for the property tax. But we would not add a transportation utility fee, and we would look to remove the municipal energy tax because we would look to balance the budget transparently and equitably through the property tax. So, any questions regarding that budget?
I have a question slash comment.
Sure.
I know some residents are looking at the numbers closely and suggesting they have some other ideas that may adjust that budget. Are we still free to entertain those discussions?
Absolutely.
And so this does not represent the final budget, the final we are advancing.
That's correct. So budgets, and this is for the general public as well. So budgets are always open to being adjusted as you get more accurate information. As as things pop up, you are able to make a budget amendment. But while we're going through this process, we are expected for the budget to breathe a little bit because with public hearings and hearing from people and going back and forth. So this will be just, we don't expect material changes really because we've done our best effort. These are not wish lists, these are pay our bills, and so we know what those bills are. But yes, when and if we are able to entertain various other ideas, we can adjust the budget accordingly.
And just to follow up to Kay's comment, what is that process as far as this being an interim? Is that what you call it?
So by the state requirement,
Yeah.
it's called an interim.
Yeah, so what's that requirement based off of some of the residents' concerns as far as some of the costs that we're putting in there as far as some employee costs? What's that process or not the process? When do we make those decisions on the budget?
So if I understand the question, my answer would be, so the process for truth and taxation is a multiple month process. It started in May, and then we did an initial adoption, was it May 5th or was it June 1st? Somewhere we did an initial adoption.
In early May, first meeting.
It was at May 5th. So by state requirement, we did an initial adoption in May 5th, on May 5th. That was it was called the tentative budget. That was the truth and taxation tentative budget. Throughout this 4 months or so process, there are multiple times you adopt the budget. This is the second one. This is the interim budget. We held a public hearing on the interim budget a week ago or so. That one was kind of gratis on the city council that we did that. The actual public hearing that we are required to do comes in August. So we will continue to work on this budget, listen to comments. As we get more cash flow information, for example, our sales tax was down dramatically this month. We will have to plug in all those numbers and adjust it accordingly. So the budgets are breathing, and everything that we're doing is and will continue to be transparent and published and spoken about publicly. So this is the interim. I think you asked when the final version is.
No, what I asked, sorry, and I appreciate that, but I guess I'm just basing it off of at least one individual. I don't want to add too many on there. Was specific about feeling like we were overspending in some areas. When do we, as a council, take that into consideration and go back into this and say, where are we at here? Where do we feel good with hiring this person and hiring this person and hiring this person?
I think we individually can talk with people and get their ideas. There's one we may be thinking of this in person who said he may have some ideas. So we can discuss with that person. There is a public hearing on August 11th. Yeah, but I was gonna say, but nothing stops us from putting this on the agenda before then.
It's a work session.
Or
Session meeting, whatever.
any kind of voting, any kind of session. We can do that and work through it, sharpen our pencils. And then when does it become final? After the hearing, we then would take a vote, likely a subsequent meeting. But then the tax commission reviews
Right.
and sees if we have complied with all the truth in taxation, tedious, very detailed checklist of things we were supposed to do. And then they approve it finally, I think in October-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the process, but it's open for discussion at any time.
At any time.
That's a very healthy process to not just do it one meeting and then the next hearing.
Yeah. So council is able to put it on the agenda anytime they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to answer my question.
Did that answer?
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we can go on
Not
and
too much. We can look at it anytime. On the agenda, yeah. I don't know if it will continue to be on the weekly or every meeting agenda, it may be.
Well,
as long as we're continuing to shoot in taxation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give updates on it, just so that everybody has the ability to hear about it, because to this day, somebody will just now have heard that we're gonna raise taxes.
Yeah.
It'll be the first time they've heard it, so I'm gonna continue talking about it.
And I think it's an important topic. I think that it's an area that, as a new city, we need to be very educated and have knowledge of what is the, smart, financial steps forward with this, with us being new, as far as being frugal, as far as running the city, but not too much so, to where we're all continually, being possibly overworked or all, as far as meetings go and other things that we're cast to do. But I think we should. I guess for me, one of the areas that kind of blindsided me was the process of the hiring of actual paid employees and what that is. And I just want to make sure that, and it seems to be a concern of the residents too, at least one resident in the meeting, and in talking with a few others, I've sensed the same thing as I've asked that question. And I think that it would behoove us to make sure that as the five, especially in the mayor with her experience, I think is important too, to give her experience with that too, to just make sure that it's an important step for us as a city council, as far as approving those things and hiring people and making sure that we've done our best to hire the best people. I mean, we've made some big decisions as far as with the code enforcements, with the attorney, with our with JUB on both sides with what JUB is doing, and I think that going forward we need to continue to do that. And I think we've made good decisions there in light of the fact that we were brand new with it. Now being a little bit more understanding of this process, I'm just more aware of the sensitivity and the importance of it for the city going forward.
Oh, I was just gonna jump in and say, I'm glad it's not until August for the final budget, because we have July to work on our organizational charts and how we see us moving forward. And then I think that drives the budget, so
100%.
that's why this is a tentative. I voted yes for it, and I'm hoping that we continue to have these conversations.
You're about to vote yes.
Oh, we didn't do that yet?
Nope.
No.
Just the first one.
I
Oh, first.
But, my good fellow council member, I can assure you, as meticulous as we were, even before incorporation, in making retention decisions on outside contracts, it will be even more so when we hire. We will have robust recruitment and hiring process and fully fleshed out compensation studies. And
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
think that's true. I guess my little bit of sensitivity to it is that we've had a couple meetings where it didn't seem as though that was the case. And I'm not going to shy away from that. Like, I think there's been a couple meetings where we were a bit blindsided as a council with some of the topics on the table that seem to be looking to give things this way or that way and caught us off guard. And I just think going forward, information is golden for us, especially with us being new to this. And I'm just asking for all of us to please, and the the attorney too. And I've had some conversations with Corbin on that, to just say, let us know like what is changing, what we have, the way we have been going about things, versus when we're passing something, a resolution or an ordinance that he's introducing to us. He has got to be upfront to us, recognizing how green we are with this, that we're not we don't do this every single day like you and Corbin do, and maybe some others who have experience, that we have to have it really laid out to us of saying, this is what's happening in this resolution. There's one that's been passed recently that's caused some concern, and we're still trying to truly get that understood as far as what power went where with that. And that's outside of this. I'm just giving you as an example of saying we need that as a counselor to gain the confidence of the six of us and also those who are helping us out around to make sure that all of that is very clear as we move forward, so that then we can act to the best that we can. So I want to make sure I don't want to, belabor it, but I do think it's important because I don't think we've done that great so far in a couple of meetings. I'm asking for that.
Well, I can say we haven't hired people yet.
Yeah,
We haven't, no hire, and I assure you, having spent many years in labor law, employment law, and HR functions, we will have a really good, engaged hiring process.
Can I actually, I think I'm gonna get to the meat of what Councilmember Ruth is asking for. Yeah, and that is, so you had asked in there about the process of it. And so I wanna make sure that I reinforce what has been said in previous meetings about the budget, that in the positions, the staffing positions where the salary is in both budgets, those people would be the first ones to put that out for RFP or hiring or whatever.
Posting.
Anyone that's salary is conditioned on the tax increase, which is quite a few people. I think mostly it's what Public Works at position.
Right.
If I remember that correctly. But any other position that is conditioned on the ability to raise the property taxes, that position would not even be posted until we have been officially approved for taxation and the tax increase, and that's not till about October. So we wouldn't even be able to post those positions and to start the hiring process until then, because their salary is not technically approved. Does that make sense?
It does, but in a way it doesn't. And again, I don't want to, we can maybe have this, I guess it's the process of what happened specifically in our one meeting in Huntsville, but the way that it was presented to us, we were making a decision all of a sudden, and maybe it was the process of the presentation of it that was wrong. I've never had someone explain to me, yeah, you're right, Chad, that was probably presented incorrectly to you at that time. But we were in a position where we were making a decision whether it was going to be this or whether it was going to be this at that point. And that's why I was blindsided and dug in my heels, and still right now still don't know the clarity of why it was presented that way. So there's a part of me that's still saying that was a little shaky for me. I didn't like the way that was presented to me.
Let me help you. I saw someone apologize and explain it to you. It was our finance director. And she apologized and said that was not meant to indicate a decision had to be made, could be made, or was made in terms of was that going to be an outside hire, serving and performing certain city manager duties, or would we look at the mayor performing some of those duties? Okay, so that was a budget exercise. And it's unfortunate that got off to a bad start in terms of your reaction. But in terms of budgeting, that's very standard to say, we could do this, we could do that. There are potential positions, but I would say, let's go forward.
Absolutely, I
And
agree.
note that we really need to work on
Clarity.
trust.
Yeah.
Trust that we're working, and that will be certainly the case. They will all of the human resource decisions, if I have any say. Okay.
According to the budget that we're looking at here, I just heard you say those positions were set. I thought it was all kind of, that dollar amount was there and it was all still, we could work in a little bit.
No, for sure.
Okay, so just so I'm clear on that before I vote on this budget.
And I don't wanna create more, I was trying to clarify, so I don't wanna create confusion. When I said the position is set, that doesn't mean the salary is set. The money, when you vote on these budgets, like the one that was just voted on, And that's the one without a property increase, right? So that's no matter what.
Right.
The clearest one of who would potentially get hired. So if there was a salary involved in that budget, that has no increase. That could get moved on. You're not contingent on someone approving something in order to hire that person because the council has approved it.
Right,
So I don't mean the salary is set, the position.
may I jump in?
And by the way, that
Okay,
position can adjust as well.
Yes, I was gonna say,
Sorry, yeah.
that's what I need to hear, that the
Yes.
position could go from a city manager to a city
Sure.
assistant.
It could
From
go,
this to that.
Yes, there was discussion of a community development director,
Right.
a manager, or this or that, but I believe that one thing I've heard very fervently from the gentleman who's online is public works, and that's what I had.
Right, no, but I just wanna make sure that we could change as we see our need, because we're evolving every
Oh,
month.
100%. Yes, all of that is true. The titles can be changed and the salaries are malleable as well. But in that budget you just adopted, there is acknowledgement
Mhm.
of something there.
Okay.
Is that,
I'm good.
does that know?
That's how I
What
saw
I
it.
was trying to do was make sure that with Councilmember Booth's concern, anything that is reliant on a tax increase to be able to cover that role isn't able to go on the market for hire until we've been approved from the state on that tax. That's what I was trying to get across. Right? Because he was worried about it being like a hidden hire. It's not even possible until we get the increase.
But I guess that, I'm so sorry, I guess it brings up another concern for me as far as that process, of the way that it went then why was it ever presented that way? If what you just said is correct, why in the world would it have ever been presented the way that you've got to make a decision here or here right now? I don't think,
I don't think it was. I do think it's because how you
kills my
took it.
confidence.
I know, and it's really unfortunate, but I don't think that's the way it was presented. I do understand it's how it was received. I do get that.
Yes, there was,
But
it was.
So, I took it the same way as Chad, but then it's been backed off and I understand that. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're moving forward and not having to make that choice. We're not having to do that, but I did hear, well, which one are you going to choose, this or this? But that is not happening now, Chad.
I know, and the only reason I brought it back up to you was as an example that I just, and there's been a couple other little things that have happened where I don't think that it's been clear, it's had been explained to us, like on a resolution that we've passed recently, that I've gone back to Corbin on and asked for clarification on as far as powers and things like that, based off of what we originally were given as far as responsibilities, and I'm still not 100% clear on it. He was busy last week and I didn't get a catch up with him on that. So I use that as an example, so I went back in the past. I totally agree, I want to move forward, but in order to have trust in something, that trust has to be given, it has to be proved that we're willing to and that one move has still had me like questioning. And then this new resolution, when it wasn't explained to us as clearly as I think it should have been, and it's not just me in it. I got a text as I just walked in asking about that one thing, so it's clear on this as far as what.
You're speaking.
Yeah, sorry.
We do have an agenda on the table, but it's okay if you wanna get in, because I just wanna make sure. How do you guys want to proceed?
I just,
It was-
speaking in generalities and I don't.
I don't know how specific I should get to you.
Yeah.
It was
so-
in regards to the resolution that our attorney trained us on a couple weeks, trained the
Okay.
planning commission on, and we listened in on that.
Okay,
And where the responsibilities went on that. That was not made clear to us when we passed that resolution, what actually happened during that. And there's been questions. I will take me personally, yes, and then there's been planning commission questions on what happened for that resolution, and possibly other city council people would question it too.
Me too,
So,
we've had discussions, so.
and that's my point, listen. I want clarity, I want to understand what's going forward, is that we're not trying to get hoodwinked on silly things like that. And when I sense that, and like things going through, that are almost intentionally not explained well so that we can pass things here or there. All of a sudden I'm like on defense, and until I recognize that's not gonna happen, I'm gonna be crazy and on defense with things like that.
Well, may I suggest?
And I think that's for the good of our city going forward until we have a cohesive trust, and hopefully we will get there amongst the 6 of us and the 5 of us, especially because we're the voting part of that, where we can move forward as a team versus what agenda is this here? What agenda is this here? And I know there might always be that, and I'm sometimes Pollyannish, and I've said that before, but clarity for me is key. And if I can get clarity from my the other people I'm working with, I work a lot better that way.
May I suggest, this relates back to issues that Councilman and Councilwoman Julie Baker raised in November, December, about building trust. And I would suggest we work on that with each other, away from the table, and try to build those relationships. But I don't think now is the time to work through those interpersonal dynamics. I think we have a big.
I'm not asking to do that.
And that's just why I think we need to go back to the agenda. We're talking about my budget.
Well, and I will say, I will comment here though. Everybody's interpretation is valid for themselves. I would take exception, the ordinance he's referring to was discussed over 2 different meetings. It was read through in detail. I imagine what he's discussing, because I know I've talked to Councilwoman Julie Baker about it, is it's the ordinance about the land use authority and their powers, the land use authority's powers. And the comments where for the agenda, the land use authority confers with the mayor to make sure it matches up with budget and council direction. There seems to be a lot of confusion over that, but it was discussed in detail during those 2 meetings. I had questions, I don't know, were maybe asked, or I don't know. It passed 5-0. I will say this, since we are talking about the budget, every time you all call or email our attorney, we pay. And I know no one has called, well, Peggy has reached out to me to talk about it. But I haven't heard from you, Chad. We have pro bono legal counsel, and I'm happy to talk about how these things have gone down. We have it on recording. But every time people reach out to our attorney, we are charging more money.
He doesn't respond, so we're not getting treated. So that's why I haven't.
I actually could tally and tell you exactly how much the phone calls and emails cost, because he labels it out. And I have it, yes.
But I do think it's important enough that we put it on the work session agenda and we talk through it again. And where I got lost in that process, where Chad got lost in that process, I don't know if you or Kay worries about it, because I haven't talked to you about it. But you had mentioned it's okay to put it back on an agenda and talk about, and I'd like to do that. Is that?
I would too. I think it's a great idea. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at this conversation. I'm not laughing. I'm recognizing some things being said, and I'm like, but go ahead.
Because it's important enough to me
Yes.
to talk about it again, because I don't have clarity and I don't understand what it was from my perception. So let's do that. Let's set up that conversation for a work session. I wanted to make sure, like Chad, that the budget, we could do line item adjustments and change it if we can't do a city manager, all this. If we want to do somebody else.
It's a living
secretary.
document.
So that's all.
And you all have access to the spreadsheet, but
Yes.
anything you want on the agenda.
So did you get your question answered?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
And I did too.
Okay, perfect. And I believe the retreat that's being organized will hopefully get all that squared away.
Good.
So let's get back to agenda item 5. I will entertain a motion for resolution 2026-32.
I move to adopt resolution 2026-32, truth in taxation interim budget for fiscal year 2027.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I second.
All right, well.
Give it to Gia.
So we've got a motion on the table from Councilmember Hoagland and a second from Councilmember Shaw to adopt resolution 2026-32, truth in taxation interim budget for fiscal 27. Let's start with Councilwoman Shaw.
Aye.
Councilman Booth.
All right.
Councilman Hickman.
Aye.
Councilmember Julie Baker,
Time.
Councilmember Hooper.
Aye.
The ayes have it, it's a 5-0 adoption of resolution 2026-32, the truth in taxation interim budget for fiscal 27. All right, here we go, moving into resolution 2026-XX, it will be numbered later. This is the interlocal agreement with Weber County Sheriff's Office for the fiscal 27 law enforcement services. So we talked about this briefly yesterday, but in December, we signed a 6-month interlocal agreement with the Sheriff's Office. This was because of the difference between calendar year budgets and municipality fiscal year budgets.
Don Hickman has up the meeting.
Yes, thank you. No, it is 6:45. Councilmember Hickman has exited. He is in the woods.
He's chasing fish.
All right, thank you very much for that notice. All right, so our first 6 months, which was the final 6 months of fiscal 26, that has come essentially to a close very quickly. And we need to go ahead and contract for law enforcement services moving forward. So the one on the table is a 12-month, matching up with our fiscal 27 budget, a 12-month contract with Weber County Sheriff's Office to continue being our law enforcement operators. All right, so this was sent around to council recently, very recently, that we've been working literally up to the minute on everything. And so we were gonna put this up on the screen, hopefully we'll go through it, just like we did with land use, make sure everybody is comfortable with what's in it. It should be very standard, so let's see, do you have it, Kathy?
We have a number on this one, 2020.
We don't have it, I guess.
I do have to say, Tia, this was me not catching that 6 months, and so we are in a rush right now. But I did get to look at both of them side by side, and it's almost identical to the one 6 months ago. So the dates have been changed.
Yep.
So now we have a year, there's no money value in here, so that didn't change, and everything was what I could match up pretty close.
Do you want the PDF document?
Very
Or was the Word document?
That is an excellent question, one quick second. I have them,
The PDF is not
The chart, yeah.
Yeah, it's a chart.
It's the word, I think.
It's the word.
yes, and it does have numbers in there, so it has the budget that we.
chart does.
Right,
Oh, it does.
so but yeah, the Word doc, it should, usually we do contracts with the budgets attached.
Oh, it's attached, but not in the,
No, it's
It's not,
attached,
yeah.
not in the text.
great, so if we wanna go through this, it should be, like we said, just like the one we had before. Everything with the sheriff is pretty standard, because it is a specific cost, and then it's cost times population and cost times number of calls. So every contracted city has the same cost, and then their different budget amounts are because of different population or different.
It's in a different document. It's in the PDF.
So, so, let's see. All right, so if we're pulling that up, so our cost this year, it was some 300 and some odd last time, but it was again, something we couldn't negotiate, it was a set budget from the previous year. It's really not something we negotiate at the moment either, we either want to contract with them or we don't. What we can do to affect the budget is ensure that our population number is correct, which we have been doing. That actually dropped our cost down quite a bit because they had a population number higher than it actually is by the state Kevin Gardner group. And then we also can audit our daily reports on the calls that come in to make sure that every call we're being billed for is in fact within the city boundary. We are doing that, and so we are being hawks over this budget, and this is the actual cost for fiscal 27. It will be final number is 868,007. So,
Wow.
so that would be the total for the annual budget. Now, you may remember originally, we were budgeting for closer to $1 million. which is one of the line items that we recently adjusted down and brought down the need of the TAN note, it's not the need that got down, the number that we would take out as a loan
Right.
was also reduced accordingly. So, any questions regarding this interlocal agreement?
I don't have any.
And part of it is assigning a lieutenant with us, so thank you for our contact with Lieutenant Prager, who has been wonderful to work with.
Are we sure he is named in there?
But we appreciate all of your efforts up here in working to help us.
We'll get them for a couple of years before they force them to.
Before he gets a promotion.
Chief Golding was not what it is now.
All right, if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-XX interlocal agreement with Weaver County Sheriff's Office for fiscal year 27 law enforcement services.
Perfect, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adopt by Councilmember Booth. We have a second from Councilmember Hoagland. It does involve money, even though it's a resolution. I'm gonna go ahead and go around the table. We'll start with Council member Julian Baker.
Aye.
Councilmember Booth.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoagland.
Aye.
There is no longer Councilmember Hickman, so we have a 4-0 vote to adopt the interlocal agreement with Weaver County Sheriff's Office for 12 months of the fiscal 27.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. All right. I was sirs to the sheriff. You get to continue working with us, whether you like it or not. All right, agenda item 7. This is also ordinance 2026-XX. It is labeled the citywide fireworks ban. Again, this was a document that we have been working on this time with the Weaver Fire District. They have been weighing in with our legal counsel. Let's pull, where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
Hang on. Oh, did that get sent to everybody? If not, we can pull it up and go line by line.
It was when I said.
Okay, hang on, we're gonna pull it up and go line by line, so that everybody sees exactly what's in it. And plus, the public's gonna wanna see it. Hang on. Let's see, okay, where's the last one?
Is.
Here we go, 3:38 PM. Right? I'm gonna send it to Patty, the one who's on the program. 3:38 PM, send it to program for review.
That's okay, we can look at that. It has the yellow part that we're going to defer, but that's okay.
Is there a different one you want me to pull up?
One I had sent earlier, you see?
5.
Okay,
That's what I
I do
thought,
not-
3:45, you said, hold on, wait, I'm gonna send it to everybody.
Okay.
Okay, here's another one, hold on, 4:17. Nope, that's different, that's Lynn's.
It would be this morning. Let me see.
Okay, I have those two. Firework restriction,
Can I ask it,
yes,
It would be this morning after 10.
if it went out this morning, why didn't it go to all?
because it wasn't, we were working on it with the district and the attorneys.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't,
will explain that while you're looking, or I can show and explain. We had initially drafted this for fireworks. A wall-to-wall ban on fireworks within the city, however. Mayor Wampler was having further discussions with our fire marshal and the chief. And they felt it critical to adopt even broader requirements than just for fireworks. So.
that. Okay.
Let me go look.
Continue.
And so, I redrafted it to be a broader set of requirements beyond fireworks, but I really want to have our outside counsel look at that because it's more comprehensive and affects more than just fireworks. And I sent that to him this afternoon at around 3, knowing that was gonna be tight time. So my proposal is we adopt fireworks today, because that was ready to go. Before we had a discussion about adding more comprehensive issues in there. So let me go, it's
It's
21
26.
What does it say? Let me see. OneDrive.
We'll go line by line, so everybody knows exactly what they're being asked for, and so that we make sure we have the right version.
Okay.
This has been a very busy day.
There has been some requests for a website update for the fireworks restrictions as well. Are we going to do any updates so it's available before the 4th of July for residents?
I would guess that, so
It'll
yes,
be in the newspaper this weekend as well as the website.
so first, whatever the council adopts, or
Yeah.
but whatever they adopt, we will then be able to
I
put on
don't
our
know, you guys
website.
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's not, we're gonna upload it if we haven't.
got it. You just do what you do.
Okay, I've got it.
There's also the fire restrictions, stage 4, that we could put on there.
that's, well, so that's what I was proposing, and that's what created more difficulty.
Got Roderick.
So we were looking to create one ordinance we could get done tonight, and then we wouldn't need to make Monday an actionable council meeting. However, our outside attorney was not able to respond to the language yet, and so what I believe Councilmember Hoagland is looking to suggest is that we do just fireworks tonight, and then maybe turn Monday into an actionable council meeting. And have the language solidified by then for a broader stage 1, stage 2, fire, ammunition, chains, all of that ban. So,
I do
That
have a
sounds good.
question,
Sorry, go ahead, Tina.
because I put all that in the article for the newspaper.
yes,
Okay, does that need to come out? Because it basically says, Ogden Valley adopts this.
we can adjust it.
Adopt what?
The fire restrictions.
Oh, the state's fire restrictions.
Yeah, I sent it to you. You must not have been able to look at it.
Yeah.
So the state of Utah one's not the one, she's not the one, it's another one, it's actually an ordinance.
There is a joint release from about 5 different agencies declaring a fire alert level 1.
It's a fireworks, it's a level 1.
Okay,
Level 1. Then there are some additional restrictions I think that you have found, Janet.
There are restrictions that apply only to unincorporated areas. We, as a municipality, have the ability and the right, if we so choose, to also adopt those same regulations for our city. But it has to be a separate action item. The state can declare them for unincorporated areas. The municipalities have their own rights. But if we wish to adopt them, we need to do so,
Which I put in the paper we will adopt.
which we can change, we can adjust.
So stage 1 fire restriction, there's five basic items for stage 1 that the state has put out. So I can read those off real quick by the time. So stage 1 is no open fires of any kind except within established public facilities, improved campgrounds, picnic areas, or permanently constructed fire pits at private homes where running water is present. Number 2, no smoking except within enclosed vehicles, trailers, buildings, developed recreation site or stopped within an area that was paved or free from dry vegetation. And then number 3, no fireworks, tracer ammunition, or other pyrotechnic devices, including exploding targets. And number 4, no cutting, welding, or grinding metal in areas of dry vegetation. And the last one is number 5, no operating a motorcycle, chainsaw, ATV, or other small internal combustion engines without an approved and working spark arrestor. So that's what we're currently in right now, is stage 1 fire restrictions.
And it say something about no smoking as well.
Yeah, you
Did you read that?
Yeah.
I just wasn't listening.
In your own yard, or is that,
And around dry vegetation.
oh, dry
But
vegetation?
he listed, you can do it in your car, you can do it in your house, but
that's statewide,
for unincorporated. areas.
unincorporated.
Okay, I have now sent this to all of my fellow council members and to Kathy for projection.
So it's up to the cities to decide if they wish to also adopt stage 1, and you might as well put in language that allows you to transition into stage two, if and when that happens, which good likelihood, rather than having to come back again. So you kind of adopt a progressive.
So there are things that are allowed that like, if you want fireworks, you have to have a permit, right?
So that's gonna be in the ordinance we're looking at right now, anyway. So it's in the citywide fireworks ban, which was noticed, and we had always planned to put up for adoption. We talked about it yesterday as well. That is coming up, and it is in there, that this is a citywide ban, but it does not apply to people who have gotten an approved special event permit. So this would include within our city, Liberty Days. Huntsville Town is their own, but that's Huntsville Town and their permit. We have one permit, and that's Liberty Days.
So it would be no fireworks unless it's been permitted and approved.
Unless it's permitted, right, there we go.
Is that all fireworks or just like the ones that go up in the air?
It would be all fireworks.
So, and by the way, just a reminder, because I know I said it earlier, this is something that throughout history has been done in this valley. This is not new. Fireworks have been banned in this valley year after year. The question really has come down. People do it anyway. Question is enforcement.
And may I ask, communication too, I live in Nordic Valley and many years, there's a little sign attached to a street side as soon as you go up the hills and get into the neighborhood that says stage one. Are you putting out?
We'll be putting out, we have an electronic sign out right now.
Oh, good.
So, and I've been moving that around for the last 3-4 weeks. Unfortunately, the fire district only has one. But we also look at other mediums of getting the message out, social media, things like that. And then if you guys put it in the paper, so you really want everyone to be informed.
Mhm.
Not necessarily because fireworks do what they do. We just want them to understand the consequences.
Yeah.
Because it is so dry. We're looking at the driest year we've had in many years. So the risks of these fireworks have gone up. And unfortunately, we're already seeing fires up on the hillside. So we really want to make sure that no one else's property, people, are safe. And we all want to enjoy the season. However, there's a risk, and it's a big risk this year.
Mhm. Okie dokie, it's up.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna go line by line. It starts in with our normal whereases. Do I need to read it out then?
No, it's just, yeah.
There are a lot of whereases that are really designed to articulate the basis on which the city council is finding a situation that warrants imposing a citywide firework restriction. And you'll see even from conversations today, we cite Fire Marshal Barrett's observation of the very difficult conditions, the dry conditions over the past year. And also, we were discussing this last week on another subject, but virtually all of the valley is in the wildland urban interface. And I think this paragraph really has a good description of the brush covered, forest covered, homes in between, steep and varied topography that makes this exceptionally susceptible to runaway brush fires, which we just experienced this weekend. This has a citation of the authorizing code that allows cities to adopt wall-to-wall firework regulations. So you go down, the state code talks about using readily identifiable features like roads, streets, whatever. Our city boundaries were largely formed based around those types of features. So we used our city boundaries as the defined area for this prohibition. The first paragraph of the restriction basically states that Exhibit A, which is the city boundary, is subject to the restrictions, no fireworks in these areas. And the last sentence does provide the exception for permitted public fireworks displays.
Just pointing out the distinction between permitted and permitted. So it means those who have gone through the application process and gotten a permit.
And it takes a while to get this.
Yeah, and also this allows it through the summer, which I think is very wise.
We can sort of-
Ending October 1st. So as we go, now I don't know what Class C comes.
Yeah, it is that.
Sorry, what was the question?
Section
Class C
two,
common state approved explosives.
Okay, so class C is the type of fireworks you can buy at the local stand. So they're consumer based.
Gotcha.
So these are not, the big mortars, that professionals shoot off a professional show.
so is that
So
state,
nothing shall prohibit.
So those are allowed.
What's that?
So those are allowed.
So Wyoming fireworks, some of them are technically not class C, they're a different class. So if someone's importing them and shooting them off, they may be prohibited.
but the way we're reading this, section two is that those that we're purchasing from local places are fine. To light out that
Trying
you're.
to purchase, but in this moratorium, they can't light them.
No,
I said should you eliminate this then?
Yeah.
It says to prohibit the discharge, nothing in this ordinance shall be construed to prohibit
Yeah.
the discharge of Class C common.
I would change, if you're gonna keep it, change discharge to purchase, but otherwise lose it.
oh, unless, do you recommend that none of those should be lit off during this time?
Yeah, so where we see our fires are the cake fireworks, we see the fountains, these are consumer, based fireworks, so.
The class C ones.
Less. So I would want to take a look at that, no.
And so,
Now, if we're gonna be banning fireworks
Yeah.
altogether, that should include class C.
Right.
Okay.
and so as it reads, it should change, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So we gotta take that.
Am I editing?
No, I think she is.
I still
I
want
can
to.
see, edited.
Have hit enable editing at the top there, right in the center.
It should say this ordinance shall be construed to.
Or just this ordinance prohibits the discharge.
Okay. Do you see that?
Yeah, my screen is not, I did that, so I can go right here. Yeah. Sorry.
Real time, the way we normally do.
No, I'm not as good as Brian is.
Those. But we just need to make a decision on whether we change it to,
Well, on the advice of our fire marshal, I'm gonna say this prohibits.
this shall be construed to prohibit.
Prohibit, yeah.
So nothing, this ordinance shall be construed. So actually, our IT director, are you able, is it editable, the document you have?
I hit enable editing, but I think it's
You're not on it.
Why can't we just say directly, this ordinance prohibits?
No, that's what I'm suggesting, but we're deciding right now who's going to actually do the editing.
Right,
I'm asking our IT.
Why say shall be construed? This ordinance.
This ordinance prohibits, yes, so we can delete nothing in this. if we
I
could delete that.
would actually like.
Cover
Take section 2 entirely out.
Okay.
You know what you guys want.
Yeah, I know why that was left in there.
So you don't think it's worth specifically calling out that consumable. Consumer product fireworks that you can buy at the Valley Market, at the gas station, or wherever. It is in fact, like calling out specifically that it is in fact prohibited. You know, like silent on it.
That's fine, the way you have it.
Okay.
Where,
She said to allow nothing, so.
oh, to allow, got it, okay. No conflict with spirit, what's the state?
Well, that runs into that main issue that I talked before, and that's why that's there.
True to allow, okay, and that works for everybody? Okay.
It's more lawyer speak. It's too long.
Hold on, okay, severability,
That means if one section is invalid, the remaining remains in effect, the rest remains in effect.
Section 4.
Repeals all prior ordinances and it's effective immediately upon passage. Okay,
So, a question on enforcement and then the penalties if this ordinance is broken. Who enforces it and what is the penalties? Because as we've stated tonight, this has been in place for a long, at different times in dry years, and obviously we still see plenty of fireworks. So, is this just trying to help limit it greatly by putting it even stronger this year because of the situation we're in?
it is to allow enforcement of a ban on fireworks, because previously we would have been covered by either our fire district's prohibition and or the state's prohibition that was just issued last week. Those apply to unincorporated areas, but if we don't adopt this, fireworks are fine in the valley, so that's why we want to adopt it. As for enforcement,
Yeah,
as for enforcement, I do not know how does this get enforced.
so we turn to YouTube.
Okay, well, so.
Okay.
So what I.
Gotta we just pass that other?
So this, okay, but if this ordinance is quiet, I would imagine somewhere we need to actually have it stated. So, for example, in the one from the state to unincorporated areas, it specifies this is the class B misdemeanor and should pull up to say $1,000 fine or whatever it is. I would imagine we need to state something here.
Yeah.
If it is a civil infraction, then we have the choice. We can go with our sheriff, we can go with our code enforcement officer. We have an ordinance that allows us to do either or both. But without stating it, I would imagine we still have to state it somewhere, so might as well put it in here.
So there is a few laws that basically being discharged fireworks and the given dates or just simply discharge of fireworks. There is, I can get you that code real quick, and if you just give me a little time to Google it.
I would suggest, because we want to adopt the broader one, the broader prohibition on other types of fire activities on Monday, I would suggest adopt this and then adopt within the ordinance on Monday that we're looking at penalties that apply to this as well as to the broader one.
Sure.
So, why can't we do this all on Monday?
We could. We had this noticed and we we had a fireworks ordinance we thought we could pass tonight. We can table it and bring it back on Monday. We were attempting to not even have to have an actionable meeting, just a work session.
Yeah, but we're going to anyway.
I would say
Depends on if we get through tonight.
let us get this adopted
7:15.
tonight, so people have notice we put it in the paper. And then we can make the corrections, understanding.
That's a good point.
Yes, yeah.
As far as thinking of it in the paper,
In that, we'll
I agree.
understand what else today.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay,
So,
I think that's if you make you just.
So didn't
on.
it answer
I-
the one?
and I wanna pull up with the other ones.
So I'll double check with the prosecutors.
yeah, see,
Well,
we'll do some research on these.
State Code 53-7-225
Which is
had
listed.
a whole bunch of things covering prohibited fireworks, all sorts of stuff. And then person guilty of an infraction, punishable by this stuff, if they discharge fireworks, and one of the sections of that, in an area which fireworks are prohibited under, and then it links to a separate code. And then part of that has the language, municipal legislative body of the state forester closes an area to be discharged fireworks. I believe that would cover this, would be a state code, that would be a state code violation versus trying to get a city ordinance.
Oh,
And the mock table and all that type of stuff.
so we could just
Yeah.
like the state code.
I'm really uncomfortable. I'm really uncomfortable doing that on the fly, like the research, and so,
However, it is a possibility.
Oh,
after your
sure.
research,
yeah,
rather than doing the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Doing it on the state code.
I want to research it.
But as far as.
Because there's an interesting interplay between where the state law prevails in River City municipal law. State law often prevails in the unincorporated areas on fire issues with municipalities and working hard.
For the purpose of passing it tonight,
Yes,
you think we can get to a point where we could do that?
we can pass this right now.
We could pass
And we
this.
could put penalties in.
Oh, okay, I got you. I think it would be important if we have a deadline on the paper and everything else to get it out there. I mean, it's an important year to get it out there, not to be the, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll send the penalties next edition.
Yeah, if you choose to.
I mean, well, I will be able to research and write it into an article, so we're good.
On the website too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, all sorts of cool graphics too. They have.
Here, it's punishable for up to 6 months in jail and a fine of $1,000. So my understanding is that we have creatively weighed our legislation as a municipality. So if we wanted to simply take the same
Adopt the same language.
yeah, the same level of punishment that, you know, it's up to us if we wanted to. So, which I think is,
this is why I want our outside attorney
Yeah.
to opine on it, because if we go down the road of imposing penalties that are not applicable to a municipality. Boom, so let's get it all done Monday, yeah.
Okay,
well, I'll entertain a motion for the
current.
the ordinance 2026 XX citywide fireworks ban as written this evening.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2026 XX citywide fireworks ban as discussed.
Second,
All right, a motion to approve by Councilmember Shaw and a second by Councilmember Hoagland. It is an ordinance. We're gonna start with Councilmember Dinnifager.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoagland.
aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Booth.
Aye.
That is a 4-0 vote to adopt the citywide fireworks ban as written and amended tonight.
And then just for clarification, before we move on, the state ordered stage 1 fire restriction. What is the plan there?
That is the fuller ordinance that Corbin is looking at,
Okay,
that we.
that'll be the next step for us to
Please
do.
adopt on
Okay.
Monday, and we will include the enforcement mechanism.
Okay. The one question I had on that I know that's gonna be asked up here is operating a motorcycle with a working spark arrestor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that going to be enforced? And what is that? I ride motorcycles and I don't know what that is.
It's basically it keeps, I mean, someone probably would be better at this than I am, but basically it keeps the spark or backfire from the big city.
There.
Is it something that comes stock on most motorcycles or is it something they have to add to it?
I think it would depend on.
Okay.
I bet you that.
But it's pretty legal. It's really what it comes down to the risk.
Was that if street legal?
They do have them for street legal ones, but not dirt bikes.
Strokes, different. But not many people have those anymore. So.
Well, we have a lot of motorcycle riding around.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the not residents?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we can expect that on Monday, and that would turn Monday's work session into a full city council meeting. We'll get that noticed.
With your permission, then I will change the sign on the highway.
You will change that, fantastic. Yes, the firework ban goes into the full city.
Yes.
Thank you for helping us.
All right, we are into land use, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We've got 3 land use codes left to be adopted. Ordinance 2026-34, which is the standard, the Title 108 ordinance. There are 3 all within that ordinance. These are chapters 108-2, architectural landscape screening design standards, chapter 108-19, accessory dwelling unit, chapter 108-11, short-term rentals. In previous meetings, we have discussed and come to informal agreements on the first 2, the screening design standards and architectural landscape, as well as the ADUs. So I suggest we start at the top and
Individual.
now from that, oh yeah, we're doing them individually. They get adopted individually, we'll vote individually on each chapter. And then, but they all get put under ordinance 34 standards. Okay, so architectural, landscape, and screening design standards. Do we want it pulled up? We've all.
I think we were good to go with that one.
I'm with you, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-34 standards, specifically chapter 108-2, architectural landscape and screening design standards.
Is there a second?
Second,
We have a motion to adopt chapter 108-2 architectural landscape screening design standards within the Title 108 ordinance 34 from Councilmember Booth. There's a second from Councilmember Hoagland. I'm going to start with Councilmember Shaw,
Aye.
Councilmember Booth,
Aye.
Councilmember Daley Baker,
Aye.
Councilmember Hoagland.
aye.
4-0, chapter 108-2 architectural landscape screening design standards is adopted. All right, chapter 108-19 accessory dwelling units. Again, if there's no discussion, I will entertain a motion.
There is discussion.
Yes.
We had things from, yeah.
Corbin.
So, yes.
We were just trying to push us on our accessory dwelling units.
All right,
Yeah,
let's put it up.
this should be very simple, straightforward. Corbin did a review and edit, which,
Do we need to pull it up on the screen?
Yeah.
Do we want Brian to share screen?
could you go to the EDU folder?
Yeah.
So the Corbin revisions from earlier today?
Yeah.
Street legal has, street and
Oh,
sorry.
You know,
I
that
was mixed up.
it was just a comment from the audience, just for public record's sake, that street legal would not necessarily come standard with it. Because it's supposed to stay on the street and not go off into the brush. That does make sense.
Okay.
All right, ADUs, here we go.
So I sent this around, this was Corbin's review. He classed up some of the language from a legal perspective. And I am fine with having reviewed this. I put in though additional items we discussed yesterday that Corbin was not aware of. Because he was giving us changes even as we were speaking yesterday.
Don't mind us, look at it.
Yeah, we see, there, if you can go down to these changes, Brian.
The first one here, same requirements shall apply to internal accessory dwelling that is attached.
This was a point we discussed at the very end of our discussion of ADUs yesterday, that some internal accessory dwellings are not basements, they're adjacent. And so we wanted the same 1,000 square foot max to be attached to those. So that was added as we go on down.
Okay.
So the next one, yeah, the next is in red, the edit being red, go down by,
It's number 8.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the display is taking a minute to catch up.
That's okay.
Any minute.
There we go, okay.
Okay, this is the issue we resolved yesterday about design consistency.
A majority did.
It was, and again, making the external ADU consistent with the primary house.
With the design standard of the
Yeah.
area.
Okay,
And everybody can vote their conscience and speak on it.
Can I ask a question or make a comment? Because the state one for detached accessory dwelling unit that the city is required. No architectural design standard, exterior material matching requirement, all of that. What is added under there seems to be in direct conflict with that.
that is expressly allowed by the statute for that you can make the design consistent. So that's exact statutory language. I think
Right.
10/26/18 talks about, design architectural standard, exterior matching requirement or licensed architect design
Right.
shall be imposed. But the law also allows you for a consistent design.
What I'm saying is that those two are in conflict with each other.
They're both from the state code. Yeah,
Okay, so no, what I'm reading is no design standard. Exterior material matching requirement, and then it says, notwithstanding all those words. The unit shall be designed consistent with the design of the single family home.
Right, so, let me start, I can do this. The first one, if I'm reading it correctly, is, she's saying straight out of,
It
what is it,
is,
SB 284.
it
So,
is,
so my point being, it states very much that nothing can be required
Right.
except what is stated in the code, and then she writes what is stated in the code underneath it. Am I right on that?
the red is, and I don't think the red is in the code.
It is right here.
Was it in Weaver counties too? I'm having a tough time.
Well,
Okay.
But this is the new code, it just, it
See, from 10/21/3.
gives us the ability to make these, sort of,
So it's in a different one, it's not 618.
It's in the new detached ADU provision,
effective.
October 26th. If it's confusing, we can take out the first sentence.
I would suggest we just simply say that the city is requiring that the up to 1,000 square foot ADU, DADU, be of a complementary or similar design standard to the primary.
I would take out the first sentence, which is old language. Take out notwithstanding the foregoing. And just start the detached ADU or an attached internal accessory dwelling unit shall be designed consistent with the design of the single family dwelling. And yeah, that does it. And Tia, I think you're absolutely right. It was probably legacy language from an older version prior to yesterday's discussion.
Is it enough to say the single family dwelling, because both of them could be, is it?
That doesn't, I'm sorry. That's okay, go ahead.
I guess that doesn't,
Here we go. Go ahead.
from that language doesn't specifically say it must be this. You know, it just says it needs to be consistent.
Yeah, it's a lot lighter
It's
than
a
the
lot
prior language that even preceded what we struck out. Cause I thought that was. You know, if you wanted something different, you had to have an architect and. It had a bunch of other standards that were, I thought, unreasonable. Okay, the next red line is, this is the front yard.
Oh, on the second again,
Okay,
these are some issues that. It's still recorded, you just won't see it on the screen, but
okay,
It's still recording on,
yeah, this is on this one.
okay, that's fine. The next one, I eliminated paragraph 10 after we had a discussion that we didn't want to prohibit ADUs from the front yard, so we're all okay with that. So.
they can be wherever then.
Now. What I wanna call out to my next comment. Corbin actually added. Back in some language responsive to Peggy's concern. Yeah, so paragraph 11. Talks about. Trying to reduce direct views into adjacent dwellings in private yard areas.
And I really like that compromise because again, it says work to reduce it.
It doesn't demand.
It doesn't demand, and it's kind of like the building, have the same thing. So I like that you would be considerate of neighbors. And you would look at decking windows that would directly overlook a neighbor's property. So I think that's a consideration that should be made.
I
So how does everybody feel? 'Cause that's new from last time.
I think it's good.
That's
That
two.
was an excellent change.
That's true.
It was broader than your glazed windows, which frankly I thought were a little fat.
I was
Okay. Got three or more, let's keep going.
Okay.
all in.
Little fat.
Can we ask questions or is this just where?
So in these meetings, we had public comment, at the top of the meeting, and then once public comment expires, then we get into the meat of it.
Gotcha.
Is it with regard to this exact?
It is, I'm curious about 1,000 square feet and if 1,000 square feet of living space within a larger building would be allowed I'm not sure, I understand where the 1,000 square feet came from.
It comes from the new code that says we have to allow external ADUs of 1,000.
I understand that.
It's asking like the bar mini, what we discussed, correct? Something like it's in.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a building that has a larger square foot than 1,000 feet. If you're limiting it to 1,000 feet, is that acceptable or is it and I guess the
It should be
question.
livable area, correct, Brian, did we get that?
So my only question here is on the language that was adjusted for what essentially looked like a duplex when it's considered internal even though it's external, but it's attached to the outside of the house. Does that make sense? We're talking about that part. That's my only question because that said the language would be 1,000 square feet. Whereas, so if it's an internal ADU with a basement or something like that, I don't think we've addressed that it needs to stay a certain size. It's whatever you.
It's there's a provision in here that says for an internal ADU. Located entirely within a basement of a single family dwelling may consume the entire basement area regardless of square footage.
But I believe the answer to the question is yes, if the total structure is 5,000 square feet, for example, the livable area of the dwelling unit can only be a maximum of 1,000 square feet within that 5,000. So if you Councilman Booth mentioned the barn, if you have a 5,000 square foot barn, you could build a 1,000 square foot apartment within the barn and then use the rest as
Okay,
non-living storage.
yes, Steve Money.
So that's, so I'm hearing two different things. So that it wouldn't be
Okay.
the full basement.
Well, then I don't believe he was asking about a basement.
This is
apartment.
detached,
No,
Oh, I thought you were talking, okay,
You're talking detached?
yes,
yes,
okay. I
of
missed
a
that.
detached building that's larger than 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
Is it possible to rent out to make that an ADU with 1,000 square foot footprint?
Yeah, up to 1,000 square feet.
Okay, I'm still curious about the limit of 1,000.
I believe that came from the state code.
Go ahead.
I think the reasoning is to make sure that it stays as a relatively low cost living unit, and that's the whole point of this whole ADU thing versus I've got this 10,000 square foot house. Now there's a 5,000 square foot chunk in it, that's not gonna be affordable because you could charge a huge amount of money for that, that doesn't provide low income housing for the demographic of our. That
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna drive our recorder nuts. Your name is?
Ian Hughes.
There you go. Thank you. Our forward. Yes. So. And we'll stay after if you wanna have full in-depth discussion on it. So we can definitely do that. Where are we now with this kind of thing?
Conversion of existing structures. Go. I don't see anything else.
Good.
And just to be clear, PDRs were not added back then.
You're right.
So that stayed the same, right?
Okay. I think that does it. We've been through this a number of times. Thank you to Corbin for,
Yes.
as I say, classing it up.
If people are ready,
Attaching to the
we can have a motion.
just one last thing on that, because I'm looking at a document that I'm not sure, it was the first thing I pulled up. That has some chapter 108-19 accessory dwelling comparisons. And priority issues for legal counsel review, I'm not, is that an old document that you've addressed?
Yeah,
Okay,
before he reviewed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
so there's nothing, because within this, there's some things talking about larger than 1,000 square feet. At this point, within this ordinance, we're not dealing with that as of right now.
Right.
We possibly bring it back around TDR ways. Okay, perfect.
Agreed. And we did make adjustments on the fly tonight with our land use authority, so whatever
Yes.
All right, 6 down on mine, Peggy, when I pulled it up.
Yeah. I might have commented on.
You, okay. We can pick it up as we go through.
Oh, is it an SDR?
It's in the SDR folder.
Okay.
Bigger, Gordon.
Hold it back, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, at the top, you can see Corbin's note, legal review draft, clean revision, so we're up to the races. I'll narrate a little bit, purpose and intent, we reverted to a more balanced discussion of purpose, and what we had seen in the form recommended by the planning commission. There were concerns over whether it was too conclusory and negative without citation of the harmful effects of STRs. And I think the way this is drafted is a balanced approach. Okay, Corbin added definitions, which are very helpful. In terms of STR license, Tia and I had discussions back and forth, and Brian last night. These will be business licenses that are a subcategory. They will be STR business licenses.
STR business licenses, so these ones that have been issued are.
Combined, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
those will remain in effect, what's already issued for this year. Okay. Talks about application. Those. Right, yeah.
No,
Okay.
going down, I think, yeah, we're not there.
Yeah, the prohibitions are talking about how they're not to be used for, it's not to be occurring in something that's not approved for residential. It's not supposed to occur in an ADU or restricted or reserved housing, like workforce housing, moderate income. And it goes on to list the other restrictions. And reserves the ability of the HOAs to impose more restrictive rules. Then we go into application procedure, and this was Tia's question, will this be one license if it includes the requirements of our business license? And we're gonna try to combine it all in a business STR license.
Yeah, because those submittal requirements look like requirements for a business license.
Yeah.
So
There will be more, I believe, as you go through that list.
maybe that,
Yeah, and then it will
yeah,
have,
that like the
Additional
additional
reviews.
documentation.
yeah,
But even still, the way it's always worked in the past, when people would apply for an STR license. It was ours for a long time, but the person would then go and make sure that they were zoned for, that they
Right,
met all these, and so it'll still be the same way. You still have to meet all these requirements to be zoned, yeah,
right,
yes.
and so that goes through Crystal and.
At the moment, until we bring it in.
Right, until we bring it in.
okay. We're down to review procedure and this language, you know, it's in the hands of the planning department, however, most notably, it requires circulation to all the other authorities who must review and pass and certify that it's appropriate. This ties into that over 10 occupancy. If you're over 10, it will need a fire inspection, and it will be up to the fire department to determine whether it's approved or not. And we understand from the fire department that, and from Marshall Golden
Bear,
Marshall Barrett. I just like that first name. That for pre-existing license holders, he said, we're not going to require the internal sprinkling system. For new builds, they will be looking for that. He said, I don't want to divest the existing businesses from the ability to do it.
So they just, yeah, but hold on, not just new builds, new new applications that have not been previously applied for would need to come under compliance of the 2024 law.
Right.
Which is what, sorry?
So that line that people were upset about, the 10 maximum and all that, we looked into all that and it comes into play. With in 2024, a new law was put out that added a regulation for any homes or rentals, I should say, business rentals that have 10 or more individuals, they need to have their own sprinkler system for fire suppression. So
For more than 10.
for, yeah.
Oh, so if there's an STR that's only a 1-bedroom STR?
It doesn't, they won't need a fire system.
But those that have 10 bedrooms.
Over
Yeah.
10 occupancy.
We have.
Yeah, it's not 10 bedrooms, it's 10
No, so I'm saying 10 bedrooms because we had somebody say they had a house with
Oh,
9 or 10 bedrooms.
Yes.
And so.
and if he is a pre-existing license holder, that is where the fire department was saying we won't withhold a license if that's pre-existing operation.
But with those
Yeah.
going forward,
Yeah,
I don't see where you are in here.
I mean,
because
either
it's-
I'm looking for it.
I don't see where it says 10 or more in this draft, and I also.
it's lower.
But I also wanna make sure we have, it still goes to the health department, because 30 runs truly with the septic and.
This is on where we are, it's paragraph C under review procedure.
Yes.
But I don't see 10 in there.
What number?
There, that's in the occupancy rules. That's in a later section.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go, keep on going down.
Now it says planning department may route the application to the fire authority, building official, health department. Isn't that a standard practice, Brian, to
Yes.
get approval?
Uh-huh.
So, may?
I think we're talking the May is that it can come straight from Brian, or like, so the fire department's gonna have their own permitting portal. So that's my understanding, is that it could come straight that Brian has to do it, or that there's somebody else that can do it, but it's saying the planning, they have to get approved by all the different regulations. It's just that I think the May is who's sending it. No, is that not?
I think it leaves it to his discretion.
And that's not what we want.
His discretion on whether or not he gets the health department to sign it? I don't think that's what it says.
Yeah.
What if it is on a sewer? And you don't have to have the health department approval for an STR that's on a sewer system.
Then I just need to defer to Brian. How does that work?
It, as stated in the second sentence, we would seek the approval of the applicable utility provider.
Okay, so tell me, is this C2?
C2.
Yeah. It's written that way.
Yeah, it says may route the application.
So he's able to say, if it's on sewer, he doesn't have to send it to a septic situation.
Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
and as was stated before with the, for example, the fire authority. The fire authority does have their own application portal, and so the applicant must apply both to the city and to the fire authority to receive approval.
I thought you shot them out to everybody,
No.
but they can go through them to you prior,
Not with the fire authority, they have to go there
separate.
separately, you know.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay. Scrolling down.
Where are we now?
That was the review procedure.
Okay.
One license for property. Annual renewal.
And nothing there, property inspection. There's renewal inspection, which the city may again require. Inspection after a complaint is permitted.
Can I just call out, because there were a lot of comments at the time when it went through public hearing with the planning commission. So just to call it out and be clear. Is there a mandatory annual inspection at the cost of the proprietor?
There's not a mandatory annual inspection.
Okay, period, whether it's at the cost of anybody. Okay. So that has been removed.
Inspection. Isn't that what?
So it says the city may require an inspection prior to renewal of an existing license. When reasonably warranted by prior violations. Their previous language was there was a mandatory expense of the owner. They had to get an inspection, no matter what, whether they violated or didn't, they've been perfect, they still had an annual inspection.
Yeah.
That was not welcomed by residents, and that has been removed.
On and on. Applicable tax and remittance. We have tightened that up. Let's see. We can verify tax remittance. There's tax records. There's discussion of the responsible agent who's been party throughout all versions of this. There was sensitivity about being able to respond within 60 minutes. Well, that is very standard. I think Park City has 30 minutes and 60 minutes is what was in the Weaver
They said
County.
20.
Well, Park City's requirement is 60-minute on-site response, but they must respond to requests for contact or information within 20 minutes. That can be by phone or email. It does not to be in person, but they do need to be physically capable of responding in person within 60 minutes.
And that's the owner of the property?
Or responsible.
Or the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still very confused by this, even though you changed it, thank you, I appreciate that, but I'm still very confused that residents are gonna think that they're gonna get action within 60 minutes and response requirement. So it says after
Let's go
a
down.
notice of a complaint or violation, so they're gonna take that as unfollowing.
Let's go down and look at the complaint process, because that may resolve your questions. Okay.
Okay, so we got with the B, with the C,
And maybe we could reference it if it does,
Okay.
because otherwise it's not big.
well, and there's also an educational component, we can
Yeah,
push out education if that's a concern, but.
but that requirement, you do want your responsibility to be able to be on site there, if something like that. Okay, operating standards. There's a list of what must be posted. Advertising requirements, we have.
Like, just step back.
Sure.
The public posting, that sentence in blue was added by.
Right, legally advisable, so that was. So that simply having a posted responsible agent.
Would be
Yeah.
separate from.
Yeah, is separate from the city's own complaint intake process described below.
So that's if a rentor needs to contact somebody. They would contact the responsible agent, not a
Not the
complaint.
hotline.
Yeah, not the complaint from
Okay.
not the neighbors.
The operating standards have been pretty much what they are throughout. Oddly, we got complaints from people or comments saying, gee, we have to comply with dark sky. Well, it was already in the old ordinance under Weaver County. There are many things that were already in the old ordinance that people
Also, our dark
were
sky
concerned about.
is throughout the city, it doesn't have
Yeah.
carve-outs for.
SDRs, they should already be compliant. Okay,
So if that's the case, why is it here? Just
just to reaffirm it, and it's a way to catch it on
now.
it's a way to catch it on licensing. wanna make sure it's.
So if people are in violation of
Yeah.
that, then you can kick it into another, maybe you can't get your renewed license because you're in violation of certain things until you cure that, you can.
Yeah,
Would it help to put reference to the dark sky compliance requirements?
I think it does that in stating it, don't you?
yeah, I think it's enough to.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. What's next?
Advertising, very straightforward, they're supposed to put in their own advertisements online, a statement that is prescribed to them. Okay. Okay, next, occupancy, here's the one. It has the standard formula. And then up to a maximum of 10 people, over 10. You're going to be looking at subsection 3. Greater maximum can only be approved upon written approval of the fire authority, building official, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Here we go. And by the way, this does not require, we are not saying we are requiring, the city is not requiring the fire sprinkler system, it's gonna be the fire department.
Right,
Just,
Yeah.
just so you're aware,
right.
not the fire.
Okay,
Sorry,
It's the fire district, not the department.
it says fire authority.
That's fine, I'm talking about what you all have invoiced on
Okay.
the district. Your whole
Okay.
state, it's the region.
everything else is as it has been before, very straightforward, parking. Always becomes a contentious issue. Are you fine? No one likes the larger 16-person or less buses, but that could be a church group. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever.
However, they need a special event permit.
Huh?
So.
They could be parking.
But
Okay.
the 16 passenger needs a larger parking space, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
It needs a 25-foot parking space if it's a larger van. And we didn't, I don't know about this version, but we didn't require it in the earlier versions. So that was only my heartburn, because when they can't find a parking spot, they're out on the road. And if they're out on the road, they're taking up more than,
and your
space.
code enforcement people can tag them. Because I don't think they're permitted to park on the road.
They're not.
Okay,
Yeah, but why put 16?
Well, some vehicles will hold that, I mean, it might be a combined family.
Could be a
Bring
re-
into a big vehicle.
So then I guess I would revert to the parking plan. They
Yeah,
have to have a spot for it, is all I'm saying to you.
yeah, I think that's comprehended in the.
Okay, as long as they have a spot for oversized vehicles.
So do you want to leave line 6 in or not?
Line 6, where?
Line 6 prohibits 16
I would
passenger
leave it in.
vans.
Well, I don't know, no bus, no shuttle, no that.
Oh, okay, so greater than 16.
Yeah, and under federal transportation laws, over 16, it's big.
It's a bus.
Yeah. Okay,
Is parked basically defined by the engine is turned off?
That's a good point. Yeah.
what are you concerned about?
Like,
So when all the, whether it's Powder or whomever comes into Moose Hollow to pick up all their people and they bring a very large bus, like a UTA type bus. My concern is it always idles. I often go down and ask the bus driver, please turn off the engine. That's its own issue with winter and people getting cold, but the exhaust comes right into people's homes. But if we're saying they may not park, then I no longer can ask people to turn off their engine. Just my own right.
Put a sign up.
Oh,
go to the sign limits.
Yeah, HOA put a sign up. No,
I'm not asking to change what's written for that, I'm just saying that not everybody lives in a standalone house.
Right.
And a lot of these STRs are within multifamily housing, which includes Moose Hollow. They do have larger than 16 passenger vehicles come in there to pick everybody up. And I will tell you, over winter, they sit there and idle for 30 minutes.
and warm up.
Everybody's houses get filled with exhaust.
So no,
Toxic fumes.
no parking or idling. Can I just add that?
An idling law.
I do that.
No parking or idling.
Whether the engine is running or not is not a condition of the car being parked, being recognized as parked. It is simply
Safe.
it's a vehicle that has been stopped, is stationary, other than the purpose of temporary loading or unloading of passengers. So an engine running, lights being on, those are not conditions to determine if it's parked or not.
Good, so parking covers it, if I understand it.
So if the car is sitting still, it's parked.
Okay. So parking.
Except for if they're.
Is
Yeah.
there,
I'll leave it.
is it feasible to put once parked, they shall not idle? Cause that is a heavy STR usage area. Is it worthwhile, or shall she have her HOA management do with them?
I in no way wanna stop us from getting this thing passed.
That's what stays.
Yeah,
Go to your HOA.
I mean, an idle-free ordinance would simply state you can't leave the vehicle running unattended for more than 2 minutes. Or more than X number of minutes. However, if somebody was sitting in the
I was
car,
gonna say none of this fixes the problem.
Then that doesn't fix the
Contractors
problem,
sit there for 45 minutes of the night,
Okay,
so none of that is gonna fix the problem.
and somebody has to enforce it. And
yeah. Thank you for looking after our air quality.
I used to chair the HOA at Lakeside, we have this exact problem.
No kidding.
All the short-term rentals
Yeah.
would pull in and sit, or warm up from inside, I can't possibly sit in a cold car. So the car runs for 30 minutes before they even leave, so it would be super helpful with having something that's above the HOA level, like the city ordinance, it says. City ordinance says.
For air quality.
Yeah,
Mhm.
air quality,
Because it will invite inversion.
yeah, exactly, so you don't wanna leave it at the HOA level, because that's pretty toothless.
Oh, good.
I got, I got sworn at, yelled at, doing what you were doing.
No,
Excuse me.
it's not,
very
you're not
kindly,
popular.
And they try to stop it. Like, well,
Think about that.
So I don't want it to stop us because if I still repeal the moratorium,
I
but
would like to say though, hearing a resident, I would not want the person to our mayor. She could handle it great, I would like hearing it's not doesn't need to be a problem.
I would recommend that maybe this ought to be considered as part of the municipal code.
An idle-free zone.
For such as, you know, no idling in front of the school, no idling in the grocery store, no idling in your driveway. It would cover a multitude of concerns people have with idling cars as opposed to singling out short-term rentals as a no idling zone.
it works for me, I'd
Yeah,
like to
like
avoid becoming a place for inversion.
I
Okay,
do like that.
we're gonna have a no idling
but we're
law
not
in our code, okay?
right now.
Okay, good. Very well, boys. What else? We got residential leisure and it prohibits all kinds of special events. Corporate events, ticketed events, commercial use. Okay,
What's wrong?
I was just
you're good.
making a point on retreats.
Trash.
On the what?
The retreats.
Okay.
You're looking forward to a retreat, I take that as. Okay, outdoor lighting. There's more reference to outdoor lighting. And there is a cross reference down here. Right, which is useful. Signage, they talk about, not really. Advertising signage. Okay. Fire safety, important and critical, largely carryovers from the prior code. Animals, we tightened the animals up a little bit to keep them on leash while outdoors, less in a fenced area.
That's
And no one roaming freely. Okay. Complaints and violations, okay, this is new. Based on comments yesterday and the concern about who was going to man a 24-hour hotline. And so this combined a little bit of Park City with some other options. This new language, and I apologize because this is just fresh today. It defers it to the planning department. In terms of looking at Ryan Farber's 24-hour number. You know,
Phone number.
it says that you shall be capable of receiving short-term rental complaints at all hours, including outside regular business hours, but it does not obligate the city to provide live staff responses outside of regular business hours. We can use an answering service, probably not. Recorded voicemail, probably yes. But review that the next business day. We can talk with the sheriff about routing it through law enforcement on even non-emergency issues or other comparable method. Okay,
Who would review those voicemails? Would it be Brian?
There's the planning department.
yeah. You notice,
Somebody, the planning department would find a responsible.
yeah. Check,
Part of
you know,
Potentially a code enforcement officer, since it's a violation.
Weaver County, for example, handles it all in their planning department for code enforcement. So they have a hotline that you can call and they read messages.
So, but I don't understand is right now, today, on our city website, under code enforcement, you can submit a complaint. And that's true right now at 8 o'clock, that's true at 3 in the morning. So there's already a citywide way to make a complaint.
Yes, but it's a little different than the expectation I was saying before. You can't call, get somebody to answer and get the responsible agent out there in 60 minutes. That's not gonna happen.
Got it.
And if they can call and then hopefully fill out the form or leave the voice message, but we're hoping they'll fill out the form. We added a box today that said no phone number, so we had that as required, no anonymous. Fill out your name, give us a number. Somebody will contact you the next business day. Then we triggered the time with the responsible agent.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for that. So that 60 minutes doesn't come until then.
Right, and this helps the residents, I think, realize that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was.
Thank you. I think that's a good addition,
yeah, it's good.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and also that whole getting a good complaint process is important for logging the issues consistently for imposing penalties. Okay.
Now, the one thing that,
Sorry.
I think we're at the same time, the one thing I did not notice is if it's, is it in here, Kay? If there's there's law enforcement down here, because there are times it's gonna have to be a law enforcement call. If it's 2 a.m, disorderly conduct, things are going wild.
What happens with that non-emergency line that you all have?
It goes to the same place.
To the very same
And
place?
so Weaver dispatch is the non-emergency line, and also the 911 line, the difference is just the priority.
Okay,
There's a couple of utility companies in Delta also, like after hourly number, they'll transfer over to non-emergency dispatch.
okay,
And dispatch handles getting a hold of the responsible pull person, on call, whatever. Basically, it's a way for people, some like the utility companies to use our dispatch as their on-call hotline without giving out the employees' information or trying to update calendar public meetings.
do you think we could use, our planning officer could look at that as an option?
Yeah, it should be able to coordinate through dispatch pretty easy. Dispatch
That'd be great.
numbers for public works and everything for all city, the dispatch thing.
You found a solution, thank you. That would work great, okay.
Okay, so I just want clarification. And maybe it's just me reading it wrong. Each complaint received under this subsection shall be logged at minimum property address. Do you see where I am? Okay, date, time of incident, nature, whether responsible agent contacted, whether responsible agent responded within 60-minute window. So that's not saying they have to respond within the 60-minute window?
Well, it's logging whether they do or not. People can disobey a regulation. There could be penalties for it, but
Right,
people do it all the time.
right, but I guess it doesn't say that the responsible agent would need to respond within 60 minutes.
That's above in the higher language.
Yeah. They need that, there's a 60-minute response.
But this is attached, well, maybe I'm just not reading it right. It's attached, I thought, to the voicemail.
Right.
Like,
The initial complaint, yeah.
Well, but if we're not calling, it's tied to, I think, calling the responsible agent that after you call them in 60 minutes, they need to be on site if required. Or they need to be able to respond.
I agree with that, but this sentence says each complaint received under this section,
Under this subsection.
under the
So it-
subsection, shall be logged at a minimum with a date time log.
These are the record keeping requirements for if there is a complaint.
And the failure of the responsible agent to respond on a timely basis is a violation.
You want that reported.
No, yeah, and so all of that, if it's a hotline, are they getting all that information?
It will be called, they will be called by a code enforcement officer or by planning, however it's done.
I still think that implies it's gonna be that initial call that a neighbor makes to dispatch. And then they're gonna expect that the reasonable agent is gonna be there.
But we just read it, that.
Yeah,
Well,
this-
it will
this
be a
kind of
matter for
makes it-
communication. I bet few of the residents will read this and draw that conclusion.
Well,
I think this is a matter of communication to the public.
Point taken, but I think it's gonna confuse us, so. As
Okay.
long as we can write out procedures, if it needed my help with code enforcement, the procedures would be a little different.
Okay, here we keep going.
Very good.
It's number B.
Can I just get to it? But I just wanna be clear that those complaints, when they come in, somewhere, somebody's gonna be logging all this information.
Absolutely.
Not at the time that it comes in, if it's coming in at 2 AM in the morning in a hotline,
No,
then it would be.
Nobody's going to answer the phone at 2 AM. That's the
So are they
expectation.
being
It needs to
required to
be
give
Right.
all of this information? Are they being required?
They will, the complainant should be prompted at the time that they make the phone call. They should get a message, or, they'll receive they'll make the phone call, they'll get either dispatch or they'll get a voicemail recording that says, thank you for calling our hotline, please leave this information, and we will log as much
Notice
information
that.
as they provide. And then once that once that message is listened to and recorded by staff, then the responsible agent will be contacted, and that log will include whether or not the responsible agent responded within the required amount of time.
okay.
That way we keep track of not only was the complaint made, but was it responded to by the property manager.
And a lot of these are gonna go through the responsible agent, I mean, oftentimes when you're renting an STR. Most of these are going, unless it's something greater than what they can deal with,
Yeah.
they're gonna go directly through them, whether it's 2 AM or 10 PM.
The renters or the neighbors?
The responsible agent.
The owner.
The
Right, all those are gonna go through the responsible.
Every time I've rented an STR, I've dealt with the agent.
Yeah.
Right,
And there've been issues of power outages,
Yeah.
water heater issues, all sorts of things like
I think
this.
she's concerned about the neighbors.
I'm more worried
Oh,
about.
Not
sorry.
the renters.
The neighbors will be able to use the number.
Oh, I got you, I'm sorry, Peggy.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, the neighbor's not gonna become a responsible agent.
Yeah.
So,
I will just tell you out of experience, you know your neighbors. So my neighbor rents this place out often, I call him. Your renters are being
Yeah.
disrupted.
Yeah,
I
I guess
have
that
my
can
neighbor-
happen, you're right.
So if I wouldn't go to the city website, I would just call my neighbor that I know that I'm friends with and say, these guys are awful.
That neighbor has been
it's
lucky.
a little different, I think, in other parts, but.
Yeah, it depends on,
it
I
depends
totally
on your
agree, each
neighborhood
one's gonna be
and-
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's good that we have a policy in place to address that.
right.
Okay, moving
We're
on.
good. Notifications, responsible agent, we've talked about that before, good faith resolution. Law enforcement is the same as it was. City investigations can occur. Notice and cure, these are very much due process types of issues.
I like the,
Notice separate violations. Each violation of the chapter, each day of violation continues after the expiration of a cure period. Each separate act constituting a violation may be treated as a separate violation. All of this language is designed to fit into the state penalty codes where they get escalated after so many violations. This no duty created section was just to make clear that we're not guaranteeing in any way the safety or vouching for the rental to be problem free. There's no private right of action under this. And civil penalties, these are very formulaic. They are referring to civil fines and also suspensions. And I brought to Corbin's attention the request that these be spelled out by amount, and he said he would really prefer to leave it with references to the state codes because the amounts may change, rules may change, and he suggested, if you want to impress the residents with the amount of the fine, we can do that through communication.
Not the residents, I want the STR business people to understand what the fines could be up to
so that could be an
$1,000.
attachment into the license.
Yeah,
That's good. If we could do something like that, I would be, because sometimes that's a deterrent to,
Absolutely.
some bad behavior, so. I
Well,
spelled out.
and it used to be Weber County had minor and major violations that were very confusing. But also, a lot of the violations were targeted to that, like, equivalent to the nightly rental. Well, people were willing to have that. It wasn't a deterrent. Okay,
Get closer.
we're almost done.
So if I read this correctly, this is a big change, our violations. If I read this correctly, it's first, second, third would be up to the maximum allowed fine by state law and initiation of suspension or revoking the license. So there's only 3 drives there. Within a year.
There's a written warning. Second violation, and third.
That's it, and then the third starts the suspension or revocation. Okay, so there isn't a fourth.
Well, before, yeah.
As you pointed out previously, they would be suspended already.
They would be suspended.
Okay.
Okay.
Unlicensed, very straightforward. Okay.
So I think, this is especially different, right, that we're completely calling out. This isn't just about licensing STRs, now we're actually calling out people who are currently doing something outside of their zone, but are just acts of illegal acts.
Okay. And actually, those will be, I think, a first priority for enforcement. People operating unlicensed short-term rentals. Okay. Yeah, on to enhanced penalties.
Good question.
Quick question. One of the do-arounds that people are using, is to use the 30-day minimum. That's supposedly a long-term rental, and then people skip out on that 3 days and say, oh, I just decided to leave early. It's like, no, you didn't. It's always intended to be a 2 or 3 day rental, but they're pretending that it's a 30-day rental. How do you manage that?
How do you?
So how do you, because that opens up a huge Pandora's box.
It's a question that they have, it's not a concern if someone rents for a whole month. And is there for 4 or 5 days and they choose not to be there for the balance of the rental period. If they rent again for 30 days within that period, then you've got a problem. They're evading, it's a short-term rental, they rent to others.
So I would say that at max, that person would only be able to rent 12 times, period. And they should be not starting within the same month period. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's enabling the use of a property. Part of the reason we're even trying to regulate STRs is that STRs encroaches on the availability of housing in the community in favor of tourism. And so we have a housing shortage. The whole ADU thing exists for this, managing STRs exists for this. And so by enabling someone to rent 12 times a year, that might be enough for them. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted.
But that is allowed, long-term rentals are allowed.
Yeah, right, they are, but you're dodging the intent, which is to provide a long-term rental for someone who lives in the valley, which supports our businesses, sales tax, all that. Really, you're just capturing the revenue from, well, short-term rentals, which isn't a lot of revenue.
Which, as I say, would be lower than 12 months of sustain.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd much rather have somebody rented for 6 months, 12 months at a time actually live there versus 12 fake.
Yeah.
30-day rental.
It would be hard to identify unless it were an ongoing pattern, and unless they rented to one person, and then you had a revolving door of new people coming in, which might be identified by the neighbors as a problem.
Well, I would imagine an investigation from a code enforcement. So
Sure.
for example, if somebody's doing that, they're outside of the zone, so we know that whatever they're doing, it's not allowed to be short term.
Right.
The neighbors call and complain. Our code enforcement officer, for example, goes out, talks to, because I believe there were steps, verbal, written. They talk, and the homeowner said, I'm not doing short term rentals. I had an agreement for 30 days, he just happened to leave. Okay. Well, so our investigator would keep an eye on that property, and if in the next couple of days, now the car comes and we talk to neighbors and we're doing everything, we can build a case. That would be my
There's a pattern of behavior you can identify.
Yeah, I would think so.
So at that point, there is a kind of.
And then you can show, you know, I don't think we have to make a plan, you can just show, you know.
And possibly tracking their advertisings. You know, that's one way that's enforced, right, through the Airbnb.
Right,
I mean,
to the extent the state allows.
Do you see that as a large problem?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard of a number of incidents of that, and people have figured out that it's a wink arrangement from, you know, property managers. Yet that's how you could get around the system.
You could, but I would think that we can prove of what you're doing.
Long as there
If
is,
you wanna rent a unit for 30 days for the cost of a weekend, and then sit on it and not rent it again for another 30 days. I don't think there's much we can do about that, but we can prove that you're doing it repeatedly within the same 30 days, and then we can create the violation that you have been breaking the law.
yeah, I understand the, not renting it again within 30 days, it's the removal of housing from the house.
I know, I just don't think it's
Maybe that's.
the
maybe that
revenue,
needs to be addressed.
you'd be trading more revenue for less. Does that make sense? Because the short term rental is only gonna cost a certain amount of dollars.
Right.
Because there are other ones they could go to, so you have to be market.
So, but what they're doing though is that they're probably using the property themselves, and renting it out as a long-term rental. Then doing illegal short-term rental.
But then they're moving back in,
Revenue.
and then they're moving back in.
Oh, it's furnished, so.
Yeah.
It's a furnished
Honestly,
rental.
big workarounds.
Yeah, and I think we need to focus on the unlicensed.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, the priorities, and we're gonna work our way to those as
Sure.
we get savvier at how we track.
But it's good to know.
Yes.
That would be
This
nice.
is the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
It's hard to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to be
So those are the
because these are unlicensed
You
people.
know, if,
Oh.
if they were saw.
They're not like sure.
They're allowed.
That's why the regulation.
That's
You see
easier
if
too.
it's a pattern.
Yeah, and use the neighbors, exactly. The complaint system exists, so that's good.
Yeah,
Right. Brian had his hand up.
Well, you know, you cover-
Brian, you can't do that.
All right, we are so close to
Okay,
Brenda.
close. I have- I think
Bad meeting.
the rest of it is fine. I have a few more points. In terms of, Weaver County had required a minimum of 3 days rent. This somehow, whether it was from the planning commission or somewhere in the redraft, I think had 2 days minimum. I would think you would all be interested in going back to the 3 days now.
So can I get clarification from Brian? And so much like state and city and all of that, whatever the city states correct me if I'm wrong, but HOAs and HCC owners can go tighter, but they can't go. So if we were to say 3 days, they can't say in our HOA we do 2 days,
Right.
Yeah, that's
but they can do 5 days. They can go tighter, they can't go.
correct.
Okay.
So you're saying to go to 3 days versus.
Weaver County has 3.
If you're thinking about ski vacations, oftentimes people are coming in for a Friday, Saturday night, then they're out Sunday. So that would eliminate both. Yeah, I'm fine with 2
You're
days
fine with 2? Okay.
I don't- because of that example.
Well, HOAs can go, so that would be the main.
Right,
People can
like,
go tighter.
Travelers Ridge has 3D now.
We do as well, and
Yeah, it's pretty common.
but it's because you don't want the one night high school party.
Yeah.
So by making them rent for multiple nights, we cut out on the teenagers looking for
Yeah.
a party.
Yeah,
2 nights of teenagers.
I see that.
With more money.
Yeah, no, I think
But-
too,
no, we have to-
because people come up from Salt Lake or Ogden, we spend a couple nights in the sea.
But I, 2 nights a weekend,
Right,
Friday night, Saturday,
Right,
they play out Sunday, I'm fine with that.
I think so.
and I
too.
guess the other issue would be if it is high school parties, then the other items may come into play.
Yeah,
No,
that
they
would
got
be
to,
If they're quiet partiers, right? High school partiers, quiet.
Can't have more than 10 sleeping there without string fishes.
Yeah, okay.
Their bedrooms.
And I have one final point, Weaver County explicitly banned SDRs from using fractionally ownerships. Like unshared school ownership. There's state legislation that cut back on whether you could preclude shared, joint ownership. Ryan? I have not been able to research that. Do you have any inclination of that?
Isn't there a difference between fraction and share?
There could be, that could be an argument.
Well, I'm by no means an expert on this, but my understanding of the state law is that fractional ownership properties can't be regulated any differently than an addition than a property with a single owner. So I don't think we can create special rules for fractional ownership properties for STRs.
But I think we said no fraction.
Well, and fractional, I think is.
Well, that would be a
Are we-
prohibition, which would be a regulation
Right,
Against
that's
them.
right.
against them.
So, but I wanna make sure we're all talking about the same thing. My understanding of fractional ownership is similar to a timeshare, although people who call it fractional would be very upset with that terminology, but they're very much the same. You have it for just above the payment. You have it for, you have your set fraction of the year. Shared ownership is 2 brothers go in and buy a condo together. They both own the condo, but they don't have it for, it's not a fractional ownership, they both share the mortgage. Does that make sense? That's my understanding, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
There's a whole industry that's blown up around this where it's half, quarter, or an eighth of a property.
Yes.
Yes, that's a fractional, but I think it's very similar
It's
to
not,
timeshare.
and they deny that it's time.
I know, I've talked to these people,
But
and they get really
the
mad.
difference is that the company will buy your EIP back, so if it's a shared ownership with your brother or family members. You kind of work that out on your own, these guys act as a clearinghouse.
Right.
Where you can buy back your eighth and it appreciates the way the market did. So you can get out of your fractional ownership, so the bad news is, what it enables is. That kind of fractional ownership in much more expensive neighborhoods that would happen previously. And so the valley is the perfect place for this, and they're targeting places like the valley. And I'm not sure that's the valley we want. So
Yeah.
question for Ryan is how would you preclude this kind of, whatever you want to call it, fractional, these companies are targeting the valley?
It's SB 271 2023 prohibits us regulating fractionally owned or co-owned homes in New Jersey. That other residential units can't single out fractional ownership in the category. And oppose an SDR ban, that's what my law is. So if
That's the
guys,
state,
then we have to. Orman had taken it out, so we need to take it out. I just wanted to flag it.
Well, we have to comply with this thing. Yeah, I mean, there's no debate on that.
Okay. I am done. I am done here.
Excellent. Thank you for all the effort you put in. Thanks very much. All right, ladies and gents, as always, I will take a motion. I would have taken the motion before.
You were to take a motion an hour ago. Okay,
And
I will move to adopt ordinance 2026-34 standards. Title 108, and we will be adopting chapter 108-11 short-term rentals as edited. Today.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
We've got a motion to adopt chapter 108-11 of ordinance 34. This is for short-term rentals. The motion to adopt is from Councilmember Hoagland. The second is from Councilmember Shaw. We're gonna start with Councilmember Booth.
Aye.
Councilmember David.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoagland.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
4-0, and the motion passes. We have a short-term rental license, or not license ordinance in place and applicable. Next up, ordinance 2026-48, repeal of moratorium.
Oh my gosh.
This ordinance has been circulated to you all previously, with time to review. Any questions or discussion? Otherwise, give me a motion.
I move that we
Thank you.
adopt ordinance 2026-48, repeal of moratorium.
Okay. Sorry.
I second. You go ahead and second.
You did it.
So we've got a motion we've got a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-48. I'm about to tell you. The motion is from Councilmember Shaw and it is seconded by Councilmember Hoagland. This is for 2026-48 repeal of moratorium. We're gonna start with Councilmember Dillinger.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Aye. Diagonal. Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoagland.
Aye.
Councilmember Booth.
Aye.
4-0, and the motion passes unanimously. The moratorium was repealed on 6/23 instead of the full 180 days.
Can we
At
celebrate-
8:29 p.m.
Can we celebrate that we got through our agenda? Everybody
Oh, wow.
on the agenda.
We're not yet. Do we, anybody want to close the meeting or anything else? No? All right, perfect. It is 8, I will say it is 8:30. Okay, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
And a second.
I'll second that.
Goodness, people, come on. All right, we have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At 8:29 on 6/23, we are adjourned.
Wow.